Sign up today for a 7-day free trial at alerts.chartguys.com. Hey everyone, doing a quick check-in on the cryptocurrency space. We're looking for a temporary bottom to be set, and I'm looking for a range to be established that we're going to trade within for potentially a couple weeks. So why am I looking for a higher low to be found? Because we've been pulling back at this point with no significant shift or no break. Every single candlestick is a lower high for 6 days in a row. I'm looking for that pattern to break and for a clear bounce to establish a lower high. If you remember days ago, when we were looking at this oversold bounce, or I shouldn't say the oversold bounce, but the dump bounce, I was scaling in down here because of how extended the 4-hour time frame was, and we had a lower high every single candlestick, 6 candles in a row, 7 candles in a row. So the number of candles that we pull back, and the preceding trend is obviously important as well. The fact that we're coming off a significant bull move, and the fact that we have not seen any relief. If this daily time frame, if we had a little lower high and a bear flag, it would be a completely different story. But I'm looking for a clear break of the lower high everyday pattern, and I'm looking for a bounce at least back towards the upper 11,000 range. So anticipating that, I was scaling in this morning into both Bitcoin and Ethereum because the hourly RSI was oversold. The 4-hour RSI was approaching oversold. I definitely kept cash in case we got a 4-hour oversold. But what was notable to me was Bitcoin. Look at the hourly candlesticks and look at the pullbacks that we're getting. We have not seen more than 3 red hourly candles in a row. Every time we hit a lower low, we get a bounce. Lower low, we get a bounce. Lower low, we get a bounce. That shows me a lack of follow through for the bears. That shows me bulls are buying dips. And that shows me to be watching for bears to lose momentum and for that momentum to shift. So now we're watching for the first bull cross of the 12 and 26 period hourly moving average since we set another leg down, pretty much since the low 12,000s. So all these little shifts are going on. The hourly lower high pattern has broken. We had this last little flush to a lower low that the bulls bought up pretty significantly. And now we're watching the 4-hour trend because the 4-hour is still in a downtrend. I'm not going to lose sight of that. And we're testing the 4-hour exponential resistances. So if we cannot break 10,667 on Bitcoin, it's just a 4-hour lower high. And actually we did barely break it. It's a double top right now. But if we pull back from here, we're going to look at an inverse head and shoulders pattern where the bulls will have to form a 4-hour higher low and then change the trend. But if we can get up over 10,700, it'll be a convincing break. We will still need a 4-hour higher low and higher high to confirm the trend change, but we'll be a lot more confident that that is going to occur if we can clearly break the 4-hour lower high pattern. So Bitcoin, daily bullish reversal candlestick. We'll see where it closes, and we'll see if we can break the pattern of a lower high every day that we've seen for the last 6 days in a row. The position that I'm in right now is not a full position. I'm certainly not all in. I do have a cache of cash waiting just in case, and I am looking to take profit. Actually, this might be a position, honestly, that I look to hold, hoping for a weekly higher low and for looking for a more significant shift. So for me to be able to hold something longer term and to hold something 3 days, 7 days, 10 days, having it be a smaller position is helpful for me because my account is not fluctuating significant dollar amounts. Whereas if I'm all in and I have to sit through 4-hour consolidation, that's a big time dent that is tough for me to sit through. So for Ethereum, we're watching, we did just break to a lower low, just barely, no follow through for the bears. Anything under 324.50 is just a lower high on the daily, but we're watching for a bounce because of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin bounces, we'll look for Ethereum to follow along. I did enter in the, let's see, I made my initial entry here, a small position, only got filled one order, sat through the bounce, added another in the low 270s. I got an average at about 275 or so right now, and I actually took half my profit on this position. Why did I take half profit? Anticipating that we would likely still form a 4-hour lower high. And again, my position size was a little bit bigger than I would want to be able to sit through and hold through that 4-hour consolidation comfortably. So I locked in profit. It's been a multiple day maker from this morning to where we stand right now. So I always lock in a little bit of profit, and that leaves me a ton of comfortability. And actually knowing where I sold right now, the rest of the Ethereum that I have, my break-even price on my Ethereum trade would be down at about 262. So that makes me extremely comfortable knowing that I'm only going to lose on this trade if we see a very significant lower low. And at that point, I would just be looking to add more because Bitcoin would likely be getting to 4-hour oversold conditions. So bottom line is we need 4-hour trend changes on all of these names to be confident that our temporary low is set. From there, we would shift our focus to the daily and say, all right, bulls, what can you do with it? How far can you go? And that's what I'm going to be looking for as we head into the second half of this week. Eth Btc. So we are topping out. The 4-hour uptrend is still intact, but if we lose the 4-hour uptrend with a little lower high and lower low, then the daily top will be set. And as we know, we have to change the daily trend on these Bitcoin pairings, and we would have to hold 2488 and break 2835 if we do indeed lose the 4-hour uptrend and have to see daily consolidation for a higher low to form. So key daily timeframes now for these Bitcoin pairings to be watching. Is this just an oversold bounce, or can the bulls change the trends and get follow through? Litecoin as an equilibrium, we held support, whereas Ethereum just barely broke it. So higher low looking to form here, and then we're going to look for a lower high compared to 136.81. So trading within a tightening range, weekly time frame, still very healthy consolidation for Litecoin, trying to find that higher low and looking to maintain within this range into the weekend if we get a bit more bounce follow through. Pretty much if Litecoin changes the 4-hour trend, we'll look to stay within this range into the weekend. And I'm going to consider Ethereum a daily equilibrium as well. We did drop to a lower low by $3, but psychologically it's much easier for me to visualize things if it is an equilibrium. Also keep in mind the fact that when we change the daily trend and do not get follow through, that's when we zoom out and look for potential flags. So technically speaking, ETH was a daily lower high and lower low, but that lower low was by $3. And again, at this point, not much follow through. Still need 4-hour trend changes before we're confident that our temporary bottom is set for now. So looking at the 4-hour chart for Litecoin, anything under 124.25 is just a lower high. And again, like other names, if we do not break our resistance, we're looking for the 4-hour inverse head and shoulders pattern to be the change in the trend. Ltc Btc, very similar to Ethereum in the sense that it saw a daily bounce. We're rejecting from daily exponential resistance. If we pull back and lose the 4-hour uptrend, which we're close to doing, it's a 4-hour equilibrium. But if we break support, we're going to look for a daily higher low compared to 9418, and then we'll look to see can the bulls hold that support and break resistance to try and change that daily trend. XRP USD, trying to bounce here as well. We dropped to a lower low, a bit more clear of a lower low, just percentage-wise, more along the lines of 1.5% or so. But anything under 42943 is just a daily lower high. Have we changed the 4-hour downtrend? No, it looks like everybody else. Anything under 4127 is a 4-hour lower high. Bulls have to change the 4-hour trend for us to be looking at any kind of bounce follow through. Binance continuing to pull back. Lower highs and lower lows. Anything under 3580 is just a daily lower high. This weekly uptrend is in jeopardy here. 2871 must hold. We're currently holding that level. And then we have to be watching for a potential scenario where even if we do hold that support, there would be a left shoulder, a head. If we hold the higher low pattern, can't break the all-time high and roll over, it would be a bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern that would indicate monthly consolidation is coming. At this point, there's no red flags because we have the weekly uptrend still in favor of the bulls. But I'm just getting a sense that we might be seeing momentum fading a little bit. So I'm preparing in terms of what I would expect if we do see losses of uptrends and how that would play out. So still holding on, bigger picture, but also watching the daily 12-period exponential moving average. Had a cross that was saved last time. We have not seen a clear bear cross since this move started from $5. So if this were to be a more clear bear cross and the bear cross would get some follow through, that tells us there's a shift in momentum as well. So overall, I've got my positions, hoping the bulls follow through with 4-hour trend changes before we speak next. And temporary bottoms would be set. Let's just do a rough outline. If we change the 4-hour trends, what would I expect Bitcoin to do? I would expect Bitcoin to make its way back up towards 12,000. And if we're going to change, if we're going to be looking at continuation on this breakout and just a weekly higher low and higher high, we would have to top out. We would have to form a higher low compared to where we came from. And then we would have to look for a test of the 2019 high. In my opinion, that would be the most likely scenario. But of course, every single day we're going to get more information as far as volume and whether or not bulls are able to make it all the way up to 12,000. If we only made it up to 11,400, it would be a different story. If we made it up to 12,800, it would be a different story. So this is just a rough outline of what I'm looking for and what I would potentially look to expect if the bulls were able to recover from this pullback. And we'll take it one day at a time as always. So I appreciate you watching. Do good things out there. Don't have an end of the day video, but got some produce fresh from the garden to share. Some big cucumbers still popping off. Big zucchini. I'm still at my temporary spot with my temporary garden going. And what I did was I bought pickles from the farmer's market, and I ate all the pickles, and then I had all this juice, and then I just stick my green beans, and I got a bunch of sour gherkin cucumbers in there, and now I have pickles. You can make your own pickles.